So I checked out this "Does free will exist?" debate because I find this stuff interesting. I'm still looking for an argument for why we don't have free will. I don't think I've ever heard one. Now, granted, this is YouTube, right? Maybe somewhere in some, I don't know, one of these fancy universities in the halls of philosophy at Oxford or somewhere else. Maybe somebody there makes an argument that is an argument. But so far, determinists have failed to, in my view anyway, show give an argument for why free will doesn't exist. Let me take a sip of my coffee. This one will probably take a while. So I could only get through about an hour, not even an hour of this debate, but earnestly listened to maybe half an hour of it because it was a no contest, right? King Durin on the right. Uh, how do I say this kindly? Is not at all sophisticated when it comes to basic logic, like at all. And I think Michael Huemer on the left here, it looked to me like he was uncomfortable and felt bad pulling wings off a butterfly. He was squirming and cringing while just clearly, concisely, and easily addressing the things that Professor Sapolsky on the right here was saying. And he refused, or because he had prepared an opening statement, he didn't address, maybe at some point in the debate after I tuned out, he didn't address Sapolsky's so-called evidence of determinism. But I thought the evidence that he gave was evidence of free will. That's how poor this guy's understanding of basic logic is. He's giving you evidence of, well, let's just address it, right? He's giving you evidence of people uh, with similar or under certain external influences, right? Doing very different things. He's literally giving you examples. Listen to me closely, right? Of people under the influence of the same external factor, right? Doing a variety, having a variety of reactions and committing a variety of different actions, right? And he says that that's an example of determinism, that there's absolutely no free will because people chose to do different things under the same stimuli or influences, right? This is, yeah, there was some correlation between, he mentioned some example of, hungry judges tend to rule a certain way, like 30% of them will rule a certain way, or I don't know, people, if they're exposed to smell of garbage, they become more homophobic or something like that. First of all, since we are facing a replication crisis in science, have any of these seemingly ludicrous conclusions, the studies that came to these ludicrous conclusions, have they been replicated? First of all. Second of all, correlation doesn't mean causation, especially weak correlation. Thirdly, if scientists like you can't even do fucking basic logic, why do I give a shit how they interpreted studies? Huh? And also, the subjects chose to do different things under the same stimuli. That proves free will, if anything. That's evidence for free will. Despite the fact that they were influenced by external factors, they chose to do a variety of things, not the same thing. And causality or causation isn't determinism. It doesn't get you to determinism, right? So what this guy Sapolsky and a lot of determinists do is they beg the question. They say, well, the universe is determined, right? Thus, we are determined. Yeah, but you got to prove this. That's just an assumption. They say, well, there are laws of nature that dictate to the universe, that create, mold, shape our universe, right? Natural laws. Yeah, they natural laws act on natural things, right? Inanimate objects. So the laws of nature, let's say rain, right? When it rains, rocks get wet. They got no choice. So that's determined. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. But when it rains, I could put an umbrella or put a jacket on, grab an umbrella. I could run inside. I could dance around in the rain. I could probably do all of the above in various orders, you know what I mean? Or I could just do nothing, right? So the rain will have caused me to do whatever the fuck I want, right? Rocks don't have this. The rocks don't have choice. So yeah, natural laws, natural phenomena influence other purely naturalistic things, right? Like atoms bouncing into atoms will, cause generally, I guess, I don't know, certain types of reaction. There's a limited number, or maybe if the conditions are always the same, the reaction is always the same for inanimate objects that have no choice. Obviously, we're different. So just because one thing causes another, that doesn't mean that the reaction was determined when the subject of this natural force has choice, has free will, right? So you have to beg the question. You have to assume that we're somehow inanimate objects. We don't have a mind of our own. We have no free will, right? In order to quote unquote prove that we have no free will, because the universe is determined, right? You're begging the question. This is circular reasoning. No, your job is to prove that we don't have free will, not assume that we don't, and then say, well, natural processes, right, determine more natural processes. No shit. We're not a process, right? I hope that makes sense. Let me take another sip. So this guy's begging the question. The evidence he provides actually is evidence for free will. He can't do basic logic, right? But he's like, apparently, I don't know, I've never heard of him till this point. But if you read the comments, like, he's a behemoth in the field of neuroscience, right? What's that? What's neuroscience? Is that kind of like psychology or something? So like a soft science? Yeah. I don't care. I don't care how highly regarded he is when he can't do basic logic. Who cares? Right? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, what else did I want to say? Yeah, it's befuddling how many people in the comment section just see, but this happens all the time. Whenever an atheist, but in this case they're both atheists, right? But I think from the things that he was saying, it seems to me that Michael is an idealist, a dualist. I'm not that savvy when it comes to all these philosophical terms, but he's more like a theist. He's an atypical atheist, right? He seems to um, believe in a lot of the same concepts that theists believe in, right? So whenever you have, let's just say, a hard atheist, I don't know, or a materialist, right, get completely annihilated in a debate, exposed as, you know, someone who rejects basic logic, for example, and can't make any arguments. The atheists in the comment section, or in this case, the materialists, determinists, whatever the hell they are, they just talk about decorum, right? They talk about how the guy on the right is kind and calm and patient, and he just has this aura of what? and the guy on the left is, fidgeting and he's smirking. They start psychologizing shit. Self science. These people, y'all soft. That's what it is, isn't it? You want to be hard, you act hard, right? Hard determinism. But in reality, you guys are fucking soft. Just is what it is. Yeah, I'm begging the question. What are you gonna do about it? Anyway, so make an argument, right? Instead of telling me how, you know, the guy on the right, because he is a behemoth in his field and he's calm and, he looks like a wizard, right? So instead of telling me about how much you like him, which means that you agree with him or that he's right, make an argument, But this is what happens all the time. Whenever an atheist gets smashed, the atheist, he's mean, he's rude. Look at him. He looks like a liar, right? This is what these people do. Y'all soft. It is what it is. Anyway, so when you talk to these anti-free will people, and let me psychologize, right? Let me respond in kind and psychologize, because there seems to be like the people in the real world in general, right? Clearly, we all believe free will exists. Most of us. This is just obvious. It's intuitive. We act as if free will were. It just makes sense, right? We don't need to. It's so um, primal. Is that the right word? It's so foundational, right? It's so basic. It's so obvious that we don't even need the reason to believe this. We just intuit it. We act as if we had free will. We believe we do, right? That's what we believe, most of us. But online, in these, so I don't think this is a very representative sample of the population at large, but there seems to be a certain number or group of, it would seem like mostly young men who just, well, refuse to take responsibility, if I am to psychologize, right? Because, hey, no free will. It ain't my fault. It ain't my fault, right? It's this sort of like, kind of, if not exactly moving in that direction, nihilistic, black pilled attitude, it would seem, right? I'm just a leaf in the wind, right? And whatever um, may come will. And that's just is what it is. I'm not guilty, right? It's not my fault. I don't have to do anything, right? I could just be lazy because, well, I'm not doing anything. Things are just happening to me, right? That seems to be, it seems to be an emotional attachment rather than a reasoned position. Determinism for a lot of people, anyway. Again, maybe somewhere in the halls of philosophy at Princeton or somewhere, somebody actually has an argument for why free will doesn't exist. But I mean, I have yet to hear it. So lay it on me if you think it exists. But so yeah, what a lot of these people say is they just beg the question, right? They say just because there seems to be some causality. Well, yeah, there are causes and effects, right? But the same cause, at least when it comes to people, doesn't have the same effect as with, let's say, rocks, right? Again, it rains, rocks get wet. It rains, we got choices, right? So just because you have causality itself doesn't get you to determinism. Of course it doesn't. Because why? Because there's free will, right? In order to say that causality is determinism, you're already assuming no free will. You're begging the question. It's a fallacy. Okay? I hope we can move past that point. Um, so yeah. Also, what determinists do is shift the burden of proof, right? Because once again, free will is, the belief in it is so intuitive, is so primal. We all live in accordance with this belief. We all believe it, right? The burden of proof is on the determinist. They are saying something that's so radical and different from what just just about everybody on planet Earth that hasn't been indoctrinated and brainwashed by, in the great halls of philosophy of, YouTube University. The whole world, except for a few weirdos, knows what the truth is. You're coming up with this ridiculous, absurd, at least on the face of it, right? So counterintuitive hypothesis. You got the burden of proof. And it better be grand, right? Not just some correlation between external, no shit. When it rains, people do a limited number of things, right? Or when it rains, 30% of subjects, people go inside. Oh, whoop-de-doo. That doesn't get you to determinism. That proves free will, right? So you got to have some very, very, very good evidence to disprove free will. Where is it? Right? Repeatable, scientific. You basically, right, you have to be able to predict the future. In a controlled setting, environment where you could control all the factors, influences, or most of them, right? The better controlled the environment, the higher percentage of correct predictions you should have, basically, right? If you could control the environment 100%, your prediction rate should be 100%. That's how you would prove determinism, right? And these have to be, it's not you can't just be drugging people, you know what I mean? These have to be natural, right? um I don't know, spontaneous or naturally occurring phenomena influencing minds. Good luck. You have to be able to predict the future, or you have to. This is what you're saying. You're saying the future is determined. All right, predict it. But when people hold your feet to the fire, all of a sudden you just want to play pigeon chess. How do you prove? You shift the burden of proof, right? You redefine what free will means, or you say, well, how do you prove free will? I don't have to prove free will. We all believe it exists. We act as if it did. What other proof do you need? The proof is out there. You're the one who has the burden of proof because you're the one saying completely ridiculous shit. It is what it is, right? That's why you guys are soft. You make these hard assertions, and then when someone puts your feet to the fire, you go soft, limp. Nuh-uh. Homie, you don't play that. That's some good coffee. So, yeah. Whenever you ask these, not whenever, but sometimes when you ask these, when you bring up our intuitions and how strong and obvious they are to everybody, right? What's the answer to that? Oh, free will is an illusion. Great! So you're deluded about the fundamental truth about our reality, yeah? But you have clarity about everything else. I should be listening to a deluded person, self-deluded person. They'll tell me the truth about the world. The simple fact that you even think you could attain truth suggests that you have free will. Ah, but you were determined to think this, right? You're begging the question. Proof. Give it to me. Right? So this is hilarious, right? These people say, well, yeah, we believe that we have free will, obviously, right? But we rationalize this, We look at the evidence, and then we start believing that we actually don't have free will. Actually, we hold both of these beliefs at the same time, right? And one of the reasons how we know that we don't have free will is because we can't make ourselves believe things. And we're deluded. Yeah, no shit. No shit. No shit. That's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching.